Ooh, those are some sleepy eyes. Good morning, people. Welcome to the video. Last couple nights with the baby. Not perfect. We had a good stretch there. We were getting like 5, 6, sometimes 7 hours, like uninterrupted sleep. But the last couple nights, not so much. And it's been kind of, I know, not an accurate representation right now, but it's been kind of shitty weather as far as like storms and stuff, which he's not a fan of. So he sleeps in the bed with us, but when it's thundering out, making all kinds of noise, he's on the bed, off the bed, on the bed, off the bed, and freaking out. So obviously that's caused a little bit of sleep disruption, but we're still here. It's beautiful out right now. It's a little after 6 a.m. and we're getting after it. We've got, of course, a lovely hit of caffeine in the form of pre-workout, so we'll get up and around and we'll be ready to go. Today was check-in day with the coach. Well, today is check-in day with the coach, so 188.6 this morning, so that puts me down quickly, closing in on the first 10 pounds being pulled off. I was around 194 when this whole thing started, so we're moving pretty good pace. I think it's week 6 as of today, so pretty much a pound a week. Like if you average it out, there's been some weeks no movement, and then some weeks kind of that 1.5, 2 pounds, which is, you know, as long as it's moving. I don't really care the method in which it moves. So today we've got arm day, so I'll get some clips of that, and then obviously we'll dive into the topic of the video at some point, which you guys would know from the thumbnail, you know, kind of talking about, you know, defining goals within the sport. I think that's a murky place for people, and I think those things change as time goes on. I know they have for me, for sure. As time's gone on, next year will be my 10-year anniversary. I started competing in 2015, so 2025 will be that 10-year anniversary on stage. And, you know, my attitude and my goals and my focus and all that kind of stuff with regards to competing has definitely evolved over that time. And, you know, maybe we'll sit down and talk about that a little bit later. I think it's important to talk about, not only as an athlete to talk to other athletes about, you know, through this with you guys, but, you know, me being a coach too. It's something that comes up a lot with people, and navigating those things and trying to work around like, okay, what do you want out of this, and why do you want that, and if you want it, how are we going to get it, and that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into that, but I'm going to enjoy this walk with the boy, and then we'll get some clips at the gym. All right, so today we've got chest and calves on deck. Last week was good, but the last like 2 weeks prior to that, I was actually dealing with a pretty nasty pec strain on this side, which is now the second, perhaps third, and I just mentally blocked out the third. I'm not entirely sure, but definitely twice I've tweaked my pec on this side, both times doing flat bench. Now, why did that happen? Don't know for sure. This past time, I think I just kind of rushed out here. It was one of those nights that didn't sleep well, kind of rushed out here, really didn't warm up a whole lot, didn't do a whole lot of like kind of getting the blood flowing, and just really like jumped right into bench. Minimal warm-up sets, and just didn't give my body enough time to get primed for it, and then just bad things happened. It was just one of those ones, like, I don't know. I've been doing this long enough that I know when something doesn't quite feel right. And with me, when I was benching, like normally it lands in the same spot every time, right? Lands right here, lands right here. And it was just one of those ones where I couldn't find my groove. It would land high, it would land low. And then, you know, that is usually like an indicator that I probably should just like call it a day. But me being stubborn, I did my first working set, no pain, but could tell it wasn't feeling perfect. Second working set, felt off, but again, no pain. And then, you know, I remember even thinking that I should probably just do 2 sets today, not 3, but jumped into that third set, and like the 5th rep, I just felt like a pretty gnarly pull, and didn't feel great, but thankfully no severe damage. It's not like it got all bruised and stuff like that, but I definitely, like, if these are like your fibers, I felt it kind of go like that, which is not good. If you've seen any of those videos of guys like tearing their pec, it's pretty gnarly. And I don't want to be one of those guys. So today and last week, I've really modified my chest work. So similar structure to what Cliff has me doing as far as like sets and reps goes, but movements have been modified to stuff that obviously doesn't hurt me, but I can still connect really well with. Chest has always been a strong point of mine. Like if you go back and look at like early photos of me training, even from just doing very basic stuff and push-ups, like my chest always was reasonably developed compared to other parts of my body. So chest is kind of a muscle group that I can very much get away with, like what can I do to get some stimulus and not necessarily like have to worry about my chest shrinking or anything like that. So this is what I did last week, and I'm going to continue that for the next little while, at least until we do any programming changes. But I'm going to start with machine fly just to not only get my pecs warmed up, but get some blood in there, higher rep stuff. So I can do like 15 to 20 probably, just to, again, make sure things are warmed up and kind of primed for the heavier stuff to come. Still taking those reps, those sets close to failure, but a higher rep range, so it's a bit safer. Obviously that kind of extended out position is a little bit vulnerable, so I don't typically like to go overly heavy on flies, just for that reason, that I don't want to snap anything. Then flat cable press, which is something I did before, has never been a problem for me, so that's staying, which is nice. And then I'm going to do a cable press around, so it's kind of like a hybrid of like a press and a fly. So I'm going to do it one arm at a time and brace against the bench, which you'll see, but kind of coming back into that press, but then driving that arm across the body. We know the pec kind of is responsible for that movement of pulling the arm over. So instead of just pressing, you're going to press and drive across the body. So I'm going to do one high rep set and then two kind of lower rep range for that, and then back to the cable unit again for an incline cable press to hit the upper pec. So pretty much all cable stuff. I'm just not about getting hurt again. So I'm gonna do that for the next little while. And then for calves, going to do a single standing calf raise, just because I do have a bit of a discrepancy between my calves, between my left and my right. I don't know if it's just because like years of posing, I always step back in those back poses on my left side. So I honestly am pretty confident that it's just like all those reps over the years have maybe overdeveloped that side, or maybe I just connected it a little bit better. I don't know, but I'm gonna do a single standing calf raise. I'm gonna use Alberto Nunez tip and pause for like a good 3 to 4 count at the bottom to really take any bounce out of it and make the calves work. And then seated Smith calf raise. So we have a standing version, so the leg is straight, and then a bent leg version to hit different parts of the calf. So I'm gonna start with calves first to bang them out, and then we'll get into the chest work, and I'll snap some clips. Currently trying to outrun that cloud. He is not impressed, and the worst part is that we walked out the door with Carrie and the baby, and she was like, nope, I'm not going. I'm like, oh, come on, it'll be fine. Yeah. Husbands, listen to your wives. Let's go. We're getting wet. Oh, this is horse shit. Ah. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can like really see. It's freaking pouring. Where is he? You're not impressed, are you? No. Huskies don't like the rain. Like the snow, but not the rain. So I just told the vlog that when in doubt, listen to your wife. Hey bud, not a fan of that. No, not a fan of that. Yeah, funny. All right, people, I figured we would do a little sit-down chat to close out this video, which seems to be a common trend. I feel like every time I close out a YouTube video, it's like a little conversation, one-on-one. Yeah, so the title of this video with regards to like, you know, defining your goals in bodybuilding and like, you know, solidifying the things you want to chase. I really like talking about this with clients because bodybuilding is a weird one as far as like the results you get on stage, the achievements you get on stage. There's a large element of that is out of your control. You know, as far as like, if we take what you can control, which is the physique you bring to the stage, and, you know, under that, like the effort you put into your prep and your consistency and all that good stuff. That's pretty much all you've got to bring to the table when it comes to what you bring on stage. Then there's a whole host of factors that influence the placing in which you get on stage. So, for example, the other athletes that show up. Undoubtedly, in this sport, there's people that are going to be better than you. That's just the name of the game. And unless you're the best in the world, then I guess not. But the rest of us common folk, there's people out there that are better. And those people might show up to the show you're competing in. You know, the judging criteria and the judges' preferences. At the end of the day, this is a subjective sport. And while there is a general outline and guideline of what the judges should be looking for, there's still an element of like, I like him, I don't like him. And then another judge is going to be like, well, I like him, I don't like him. And then they're going to have disagreements and stuff like that. And that doesn't necessarily make either one of them right or wrong, but it's just their preferences. So, you know, and the list can go on with what can influence your placing on stage. And, you know, at the beginning of an athlete's career, and I feel like I can speak to this because, you know, I'm coming up on 10 years that I've been, you know, in competitive bodybuilding. And at the very beginning of my career, the placing was everything. You know, there was very little recognition of like personal progress, personal development, how my physique has changed and evolved. It was very much like predicated on like what number did the judges give me on that day. And, you know, I can think back to really early in my career when I was doing really well. You know, there was a streak of shows that I pretty much won everything I did. And as a young athlete, that can be dangerous because it gives you this like air about you that you think you're the best and think you're better than you are. And, you know, there's some fuel to that. There's some utility to that because it really just like rocket shipped my effort and my determination. But my 2019 season, I did two shows. I did two shows back to back. So my first show was a local CPA show, the Coburg Naturals, and that was my first overall win, which is this. Can you see that? That big trophy right there. My first overall win in 2019 in bodybuilding. The following weekend, I went down to Rochester, New York. So interestingly enough, wasn't there just not that long ago with some clients, and did my first INBF show. And for those that don't know, the INBF is the amateur affiliate to the WNBF. So that was my first experience with that organization and traveling stateside to compete and all that kind of stuff. And I come second in my class, not even second in the overall, but I come second in my class against some incredible athletes. And then the overall winner, Wesley Bremick, who was coached by my coach now, Cliff Wilson, looked unreal. And that was like my first real time seeing like super high level natural bodybuilding like up close in person. But, you know, 2 weekends apart, one weekend I win the overall, I win the whole thing, and the second weekend I come second in my class. And what was the difference between those 2 weeks? Like 7 days apart, I go from here to here. absolutely nothing as far as my physique goes. The biggest difference was the athletes that were there on the day. And I think that is a really important kind of, frame to hammer home to people, because at the end of the day, there's not much else we can do to determine our placings outside of the physique we bring. And that kind of goes into what I really try to, push for my clients, and that's developing your physique. And I like to use the term like pro physique over pro card, because within bodybuilding, a pro card, and this is not to at all discredit or discourage people from chasing pro cards within whatever organization, because I myself have done that and still have pursuits within the sport as far as like certain accolades go. But also, recognize that at the end of the day, the biggest win and the biggest achievement and the biggest form of progress over time will be the physique you develop, right? And alongside that, the habits you build, the person you become along the way of building that. But this photo right here, I posted it the other day, but I think it's kind of a good display of what I mean. This is a side-by-side of the photo on the left was from 2017. So that was my late fall 15. So my third year, I guess, competing. So 2017, I would have been 23, 24. I don't know, younger than I am now. But anyways, it's a comparison of that to my most recent season in 2022. And this is just one pose, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Whereas like the physique development in that time, and that's not even dating back to when I very, very, very first started in 2015. The comparison's even more dramatic, but this photo kind of displays what I'm talking about with what the real win is, and what you should put at the forefront of your mind with what you should be chasing if you want to truly love the sport for what it can be, and be in this for the long haul. Because I've seen athletes really crumble when they don't get a placing that they feel they deserve, or a placing that they feel they've earned, or whatever it may be. And that's when they start to get that resentment and anger and frustration for the sport. And it's just not necessary. And sure, there's potentially politics sometimes, and this and that, and any number of reasons why you didn't place where you think you should have. But at the end of the day, if your physique has progressed, and over a period of time you've made progress and gotten better, then that's the real win. Most recently, actually, I can give you a very good example of this. My client Jeff, he competed in 2022 and then competed and is now competing this year in 2024. And physique wise, he's absolutely leveled up. I'll put a photo up of a side-by-side of him, because this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So Jeff, he competed in men's physique prior and is now pulling double duty this year. I've been pushing him into bodybuilding because the man can do bodybuilding. He's got a great physique and has made miles of progress since 2022. So his most recent show, the first show we started off to kick off the season, he comes second in the lightweight class, which historically the lightweight cutoff should be and is 154.5 pounds and under within the CPA. And for whatever reason, they decided that this lightweight class was going to be split at like 176 and under, and then up from that 176, which like not cool. Didn't love that. So an athlete ended up just making weight at like 175 point something. So he ended up being like on that day, quote unquote, a lightweight, which is inaccurate. He's a heavyweight for sure. And this is not to discredit him, because this is not a decision he made, but it gives you an example of like how things can determine your placings that are completely outside of your control. So for Jeff and the other athletes that were in that class who were legitimate lightweights around that 150 pound mark, they're against a guy that is 20 pounds heavier, who, because of insert whatever rules here, he's now a lightweight. Whereas if he was in the class that he should be in, then the lightweight class would have been a lot more fair and a lot more even, and Jeff would have won that class. He ended up taking second to that athlete, rightfully so. He definitely beat Jeff, but from looking at it as a lightweight class, is not exactly what we want to see. You know what I mean? So obviously that stung Jeff a little bit, but again, we had a conversation after the fact where it's like, look, like, you're way better than 2022. You are clearly a very high quality bodybuilder, and within the lightweight class, if he wasn't in that class, Jeff walked away with it, right? The gap between him in second and the guy in third, and then further down from there, it was a pretty big gap. So had the heavyweight not have been in that class, Jeff would have won. So yeah, that's just an example, a most recent example that can kind of jump into my head. So it's like, okay, let's step back a little bit, look at the physique, right? Where's the physique back then to where it is now? That's the win, right? Because at the end of the day, if you progress your physique, you will find yourself in situations where you will be awarded, just because that's the name of the game, right? There's going to be shows that you show up to that you are going to be the best on that day, and there's shows you're going to show up to that you're going to be able to earn a pro card or win an overall or whatever. But then on the flip side, there's going to be shows where you're not the best, you're not winning the overall, you're not getting the pro card. So, you know, let me display this, no, not display, dispense this wisdom upon you. That's not me bragging or thinking I'm better than anybody else, but just, I've been in this game now coming up on a decade. I've been coaching now competitors since 2019. So this is simply coming from experience. And I want to see people really fall in love and enjoy the sport, and keep a frame of mind that is healthy and that allows you to get the most out of it, and allows you to fall in love and enjoy the sport. So I'm going to close it out here, guys. This is a little over a 10-minute clip. That's enough of me talking. I know this video wasn't maybe as action-packed as others, but I've been a busy man with clients, been a busy man with being a dad, being a husband, and trying to balance everything in life. And throughout the next 2 months, we're going to be very, very busy with shows. So I will, as always, document as best I can. And if you want to follow along a bit more closely, obviously I'm super active on Instagram. That's kind of my main social media hub. So you can find me there at Leroy_Rollins_fitness. And then obviously through your YouTube channel with Natty News Daily here. Like, subscribe, show me the love, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.